Hi, my name is John Halloran, and I'm excited to get to talk to you about LAMP Words for Life, the vocabulary. Remember, LAMP is a method, and we designed LAMP Words for Life, the vocabulary, to follow that method. The first thing we did is we took the words that occur often in speech and made sure they were on your device. So we looked at studies that had children in them and adults in them, and it came up with what words those individuals use, and we made sure those words showed up on your one-hit vocabulary. So the one-hit vocabulary, LAMP Words for Life one hit, is just as it describes. When you touch something, it talks. So when I reach over here and I touch this button where it says eat, as soon as I touch it, and you're not going to hear it very well, but it says eat when you touch it. And this one says more when you touch it. So it's one hit, one message. That's the LAMP Words for Life one hit vocabulary. Why did we start with so many buttons instead of not going to bigger buttons? Well, because we know that more buttons means less sequencing, means easier. Nobody wants to go back to the phone where you got to do JKL. So then why didn't we use 200 buttons if more buttons means easier? Well, on an average 10-inch screen, an iPad or a device a kid's using, or most individuals are using, lots of those individuals need a key guard, so you got to have one that'll work with a key guard on it. But also, when you make buttons too small, they have to put cognition into the movement, worrying about hitting the wrong one. Where you have something that's kind of like iPad finger, where they're on their keyboard worrying about getting the wrong button. You want to see fluid motor movements where you're putting no cognition into the articulator, and we treat the finger as an articulator. So the one-hit vocabulary, the LAMP Words for Life one hit, it's the words that occurred often in speech, and those happen to be very rich in core words. But I need you to know that if you're using the LAMP vocabulary, we love core words, of course, because they fill up our language, and the more you can hear core words, the more you can segment incoming speech, the more you can learn new words, and we need core words to talk. But I need you to help me with something. If you're using the LAMP Words for Life vocabulary, we have thousands of fringe words in there. We love fringe vocabulary. We don't believe children should be, and adults, I always say children, but I mean individuals. We don't think any individual should have a vocabulary that's only core or only fringe. The individuals to have a robust vocabulary need both core and fringe vocabulary simultaneously. So that was called LAMP Words for Life one hit. Now the next level is called LAMP Transition. And the transition level is the 205 words that occur most in speech. Now when you're on the transition level, you can still use this tool you see me using called Vocabulary Builder, where you don't necessarily have all the words working at one time. But I want you to catch that you have to hit two buttons now to talk. But when you're at the one hit level, you touch this spot right here to say eat. It's still that exact button. When I want to go say something, I still have to touch that exact location. So the motor plan didn't change, but now I extended it, or I grew the motor plan, so I have to go up here and hit the second half. So just like when you're teaching sign language, you got your fingers here and you extended it, or just like when you're using your mouth, you say ma, or eat, ing. You extend motor plans, you don't change them as you develop more words and learn words. So that's called LAMP transition. And then of course there's LAMP Words for Life, the full level, which is 4,800 words. And you can see with all 4,800 working, you have a big vocabulary, again, based on frequency. So you have the 4,800 words that occur most in speech. So when you hit eat and you go to fruits, there's a lot of fruits. Now there's more than those fruits that occur, but these were the ones that occurred most in speech. Once you learn where something is, it doesn't move, it doesn't change. It's just like that game of memory where you find here's a giraffe and here's the other giraffe, and as long as you put them back in the same spot, you can keep learning more halves without putting effort into it. Now, I want to explain one more thing. This encoding method is just one encoding method that exists when you're using LAMP Words for Life. You could go to spell mode, and you could spell the word dad. And then you can say dad. That's spelling. You could use word prediction where you hit a D, you hit the A, you look up here and you see daddy. So you can hit daddy. So you can have spelling, you can have word prediction, you can have semantic compaction or symbol-based sequencing, and you could also have abbreviation expansion because we have the ability to add abbreviations. So I could go in here and I could say JH, and you'll listen, it says, so it just said John Halloran. So you have all the encoding methods, I guess sign language is an encoding method. I do want to remind you to make sure that one of the things, or not remind you, but one of the things I think I love most about LAMP Words for Life is that the language it speaks is the English language. The device has to encode in the same language as the individual lives in. So I can talk on my device the same as I hear my mom and dad and my brothers and sisters and my friends talking. So anyway, there's a whole lot more to learn about LAMP Words for Life. I hope you'll come to a full day training and let us teach you about all the many other things that went on with the LAMP Words for Life vocabulary. Thank you. Have a good day.